Welcome back to Excel Minicases. This Minicase is on the Countif function. This is a single function Minicase study, so we won't be going very in depth, and we will only be looking at the Countif function. We're also going to be using the process methodology that we use in all cases. You can see the steps here on the screen: data acquisition, data analysis, data presentation, and then finishing up. We're also going to have a tab in our Excel workbook that's going to have all these steps so you can take notes and mark them done. So you don't have to remember them, but this is the methodology we use in all case studies. So let's go take a look at the email from HR. That's going to get us started on our case study. So here's our email from Mary Johnson with Human Resources. It says, John, I need your help since you're the expert around here in Excel. I have a list of employees, the zip code of their address, and their annual income. I need to know how many employees there are in the following zip codes. And there you see the zip code 77380 to 77385. Then I need to know how many of these employees have a first name that only has 2 or 3 letters. Our IT group is having a problem with 2 and 3 letter names, and I need to see how large the issue is. Lastly, I need to know how many employees have an income over $100,000 and how many have an income under $100,000. I need this information in the next 5 minutes so I can add it to a presentation. Thanks for your help. Mary Johnson with Human Resources. All right, so that's our case study. That's what we need to find out. And so let's take a look at the Excel file that she sent to us. So here's the spreadsheet from Mary. You can see it's got first and last name on it. It's got a zip code. It's got income. You can see that she titled her tab Employees. I've also put another tab in here called Process Checklist. This is the methodology that we're going to use for all our case studies. This is a mini case study, so some of these may not apply, but this first one, access data, we're going to say this is done. This was received by Mary Johnson. Mary Johnson on 1/1 of 2030. The next step is preserve data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to move it to the end. I'm going to call this original. And then I'm going to save it. And that way, or actually I'm going to hide it. And so if we make mistakes in this, we can always go back to the original data, or if someone else comes into this file and makes some errors, deletes rows or columns or data, then we can always restore it. And so what we're going to say is this is done. The next steps are inspect data for errors and clean the data. Well, I'm going to go through here just to see if there's anything that stands out. What we're looking for is anything like a blank row, a blank column, maybe some missing data. You'd be surprised how many data sets we get in real life that have some type of error. I don't see anything on this one, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark those done. We didn't have anything to clean up. All right, so that ends our data acquisition steps. Okay, so let's go back to our process checklist. We are now in the data analysis stage. We need to determine our audience, review the data for insights, then perform the analysis. So our determining the audience, this is really just Mary from HR. That means we're not going to have to make this a very fancy presentation or anything. We're just going to send her some numbers. Review data for insights. There's not a lot of insight that we can glean from this data. We can take a look and see that this is a wide range of zip codes. It's a pretty wide range of income from 80,000 down to 428,000. But one thing we can see is how many employees there are. There are 788 rows here. So I know that there are 788 minus 1 because this row is column titles. So this is 787 employees. All right, the next thing we're going to do, there are a number of zip codes that we need to count. And so those zip codes are here. And we're going to use something called the Countif function using this range of data. The first parameter it's looking for is the range. We're going to use this range, and we're going to make that range completely. The next criteria is going to be 77380. Okay, so Countif, in this series of data, we're looking for 77380. You'll notice that number is hard-coded. I'm going to copy this all the way down. And what you'll see is that this is still hard-coded to 77380. We're going to have to change that in all of these. You'll notice this is a very manual process. But at the end of the day, we do get a total. It's 99. And that is using something called an absolute reference. So when we have to hard code a number in here, that's called an absolute reference. What I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this, paste this over here just for the formatting, and I'm going to delete these. And so if we use Countif using a relative reference, we can say same thing. Look at all these zip codes. Except this time, we're going to reference a cell. That cell is here. So instead of hard coding 77380, we're just referencing another cell that has that number in it already. And so we're going to end that. It gives us the same number, so that should be, that's good. And then we carry this down, you'll notice this reference, it changes. So this one references 77380, this one 77381, and so forth. And we do get the same number, so that's a good feeling. All right, so that's just taking a look at the zip code count.